big thing he's known for now is creating Kamen Rider. Yeah, he's the original creator of Kamen Rider. He made Cyborg 009. It's another big one he did. So eventually, Go Nagai submitted his, exam manga, and Ishinomori is like, good, great, you're an assistant now. So that's sort of like how he got his break, by being an assistant for one of the biggest manga artists of all time. That's going to put him on the map. And his very first published manga was Meikashi Polikichi in 1967. It's nothing to write home about, but it's important because it's his first work. And until his big breakthrough, old young brother Go made mostly like one and done, single volume, here it is, there it goes, little gag manga. Like nothing that went on for a very long time. Nothing more than like 5 chapters, if even. Maybe a lot of one-offs.
Is your phone playing music?
No, that is not me. That would all change forever in 1968, where young brother Go was approached by Shueisha, who wanted to give him an offer for their new, blossoming manga magazine, a little thing known as Shonen Jump. Shueisha came to Go Nagai and said, "Hey, do you want to be one of the first artists to work on our new magazine?" He's like, that's a hard choice. Yes. So it was his first debut, making a serialized manga, with deadlines and keeping it going and going and going. Because Shonen Jump, they didn't let shit die back then either. I want to let you guys know, without Go Nagai, we may not have Boruto and Boruto's dad as we know it. So in 1968, his first big successful serialized manga was called Harenchi Gakuen. Basically, the idea of Harenchi Gakuen came because Go Nagai thought, I want to make a school manga, my first thing. But school manga are boring. So I'm going to make it perverted. The word, and you may wonder, why not call it Hentai Gakuen? He got the choice for the word Harenchi, which means scandalous, that was the word that they put over all pornographic media back then. It's the little sign they put over it so kids can't see the cover, and it said Harenchi, so it's scandalous. And he's like, that's great, I'm going to put that on my manga so kids know to read it. And when him and the production staff were planning out ideas for this new manga, they're like, what do we do? It's like, you got any ideas? I used to peep on girls through a hole in the window in my school. That's good. What if the hole's in the ceiling? That's real good. Okay, what if when the kid gets caught, he just gets hit with a spear instead? And back then, that's hilarious, because no one's ever done that before. Alright, but what if the teacher wasn't wearing pants? What if he was wearing fishnets? And everyone had a big riot and had a big laugh, and they gave it to Shonen Jump, and they said, great, we're gonna publish this. So, Harenchi Gakuen is honestly maybe one of the most influential manga of all time, which if you go back and you're lucky to see scans of it nowadays, because you can't find this in English really. It's not really worth translating to English nowadays, aside from a time capsule piece. But back in that day, anime and manga were pretty much how they were in the US at the time, for kids. Pretty much exclusively for kids. Only kids read manga, only kids watched anime. So seeing this manga with topless girls, characters peeping at each other and all these sexual themes was literally unheard of. And it really changed what was acceptable in manga forever. Comiket might not have been the same without Harenchi Gakuen. But you might not have doujinshi without it. So of course, with any piece of media that pushes the boundaries of what is acceptable, this thing is kind of like South Park when you think about it. You watch early South Park episodes and it's what is this? But it was a big deal back then. Mostly the PTA had a big problem with Harenchi Gakuen. And they're like, you're corrupting the youth with your tibbies. And for the longest time, like while all these protests were going on and Shonen Jump was getting complaint letters about Go Nagai's work, he's sitting in his office, he didn't know this was all about him. He's like, man, like what is this thing in Shonen Jump that's getting like all this bad attention? Like it's not me, because like I'm a good boy. I know the limits. And eventually in this time period, like he couldn't go anywhere without being bombarded like by paparazzi and people like wanting interviews about all this. And he's like, leave me the F alone. And he's like so tired of getting these letters that the very lighthearted like gag manga Horenchi Gakuen ends with a literal massacre. The PTA comes and actually like all of the students and faculty fight for their rights to be perverted and sketchy, and they get killed by the PTA. They are literally massacred in ultraviolence, and he's like, there you go, guys. Are you happy? Like, oh, that's not enough? I'm gonna make 2 more manga, literally just to spite you guys. So he makes Abashiri Ika, which is the manga in the lower right, in the lower left corner. Horenchi Gakuen is the one in the upper left. The guy in the beard, his name is Hige Gojira, otherwise known as Bearded Godzilla. Abashiri Ika was another it started a little more serious. It's about a basically a Yakuza family, and they send their daughter to the school, and the school is basically the school of Horenchi Gakuen. All the teachers and upperclassmen are lecherous, but she doesn't take none of that shit, so she just kills them. And eventually, it went from being more serious to more of a lighthearted tone. Yes, sir?
Just out of curiosity, the one in the upper right looks to be like a more realistic drawing style than the others. Does the actual animation inside of it or drawing inside of it reflect that?
Oh, the one in the upper right is actually a live-action poster for a live-action Horenchi Gakuen movie.
Oh, okay.
Back then, this was like in the time when we were just starting to get, like adult manga. So like, and like anime showing titties was like, no way, keep that Doraemon on the air. Like, don't change any of that. So Horenchi Gakuen only, like, after all these years, after 50 years of Horenchi Gakuen, has only ever got one anime, ever. One anime adaptation. It was an OVA in the 90s. And it's basically porn, like straight up. But there were lots of live-action movies and TV shows based on Horenchi Gakuen. In the middlemost manga, we got one called Gakuen Taikutsu Otoko. Came out in 1970, and that one's the more direct protest of the PTA because it's all about a very angry kid who looks kind of like Akira. Because you'll learn that Go Nagai knows how to draw like 2 protagonists. It's very true. They all have sideburns. That's the big meme. If you don't have the L sideburns, you're not a Go Nagai character. And like this very angry kid literally just goes like from school to school and fights. He's like, I'm gonna fuck up everyone in the school. Because the premise is like it's actually, when you go and read Gakuen Taikutsu Otoko, you realize like this is not far off. Because like teachers carry guns in the classroom and like they're allowed to shoot students. And it's just like total anarchy. And it's like, yeah, bucket of rock's gonna help you now, buddy. So this kid's like, I have enough of this. So he just goes to school and just wages war on the schools. Despite stuff like Gakuen Taikutsu Otoko in the beginning of Abashiri Family, Go Nagai was pretty much still well known for being a gag manga artist. Like, oh, it's Go Nagai, it's gonna be funny, and it's gonna be like a little lewd. Like, it'll be a good old time. And he was kind of starting to have enough of that. He was like, I don't want to be known as the guy who only goes down in history for gag manga. So that really started to change. He made Oni 2889 Nen no Haran in 1970, which is also not very easy to find English translated. It's a sci-fi manga about a race of Oni who rebel against like their oppressors, like their masters. Which was like it was a very unusually serious work for Go Nagai. Like the violence was still there in his early works, but the tone was not consistent with his works. After that, he would go and do a lot of little horror anthology and horror one-off manga before he got his opportunity to make his big demonic occult action manga, I am, of course, talking about everyone's favorite, Mao Dante. So, all of you who got in thanks to Devilman Crybaby, you may not know that the prototype of Devilman is a manga called Mao Dante, published in 1971. Let's just go through the idea, the premise. A young kid with short black hair and sideburns is consumed and possessed by a demon, and then has to fight demons, and eventually fight an angel. So this time he's literally eaten by the demon. That's a little different. The plot of Mao Dante is a character named Ryo. Has these like recurring dreams of seeing like a demon with his face killing people, and he sees the Himalayas in his dream. So he's like, I gotta go there. I gotta go to the Himalayas. And he goes to the Himalayas and he discovers the deep, like basically Satan, but they call him Dante, frozen in ice. Much like he got the inspiration for this manga from reading Dante's Inferno and seeing the there's like the famous paintings. There's like one of Satan in hell, like frozen in the ice. So he's like, I'm gonna make a manga out of that. So Ryo gets tricked into freeing Satan. Yes.
Well, why Dante? Because Dante was the one who went through it. Is there like an actual reason, or like did they?
No.
Is
No.
like Satan's still the one like?
No.
Okay.
The name
The thing is,
sounds
like,
cool.
all like the other like big demons like are still there. Like Beelzebub's there, Satan's there, Lucifer's there, Medusa is there for some reason. Medusa's a big wig. So Ryo is eaten by Dante, and you think like he's dead, but then it turns out that after being eaten, Ryo's personality took over that of Dante. So like his face is in Dante's forehead, but it's like only like up here. So you see like like coming out of the demon's head. Mao Dante got canceled, and it ended unfinished. It ended with Ryo finding out the truth that God is actually an evil invader from outer space, and that the demons are the heroes. So Mao Dante ends with Ryo saying, I'm gonna summon a demon army, and that's it.
That's a perfect ending.
Pretty much. A lot of his manga end that way. It's like, let's go! It's over. Despite getting canceled, Toei Animation, speaking of Doraemon, went up to Go Nagai and said, hey, we want to make an anime out of Mao Dante, but it's too scary and too violent, and Dante's too ugly. Can you change all of that? We want the show, but we really want everything to be different. And he's like, okay. only give him an arm, change his face a bit, make him look a little more human, and you got Debiluman! So the plans for the TV anime for Devilman came first, and then Go Nagai's like, all right, well I gotta make the manga to go with it, because you'll notice a trend that a Go Nagai manga comes out like 2 months later, the Toei Animation TV show comes out to go along with it. So, and he had the idea to make the Devilman manga a lot more serious and horror and occult oriented as opposed to the TV show, which is how we get Devilman, published in 1972. And this was like his big project. Like, Go Nagai was putting everything on the line for Devilman. Like, this was his baby, and it paid off. Because Devilman, once again, similar to Renchigakuen, Devilman was completely different from anything back then. Like, there were action stories back then, plenty of them. But, like, Devilman was the first with that, like, really kind of serious story, like, dealing with the apocalypse itself, all these, like, casual, like, blasphemy and occult undertones, and so many like famous anime creators nowadays like credit Devilman as inspiration. Hideaki Anno says like Devilman and Mazinger Z are like his biggest inspirations. Gen Urobuchi says he loves Devilman, like the dark tone of Devilman. Says Devilman taught Gen Urobuchi that bittersweet endings are the way to go, and boy, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yes.
Almost, actually.
I wanted to be a hero.
Yeah, but it was not. That is not the end of Mao Dante's story. In 2002, there was a once again a collaborative anime and manga reboot for Mao Dante. The anime, which we'll get into a little bit later. Long story short, the anime continues the original manga story and ends it. The new manga in 2002 is a reboot of the story with a prologue and an actual ending now. And at the very end, I put a nice little quote from an interview with Go Nagai about Devilman, because Go Nagai considers Devilman an anti-war story. So there is no justice in war, any war, nor is there any justification for human beings killing one another. Devilman carries a message of warning as we step toward a bright future. After Devilman, so you thought Go Nagai got popular after Devilman, or after Haruchigakuen. After Devilman, oh boy. He went from Brother Go to, oh, hold on. I almost forgot. Everyone's favorite little intro. Without those trumpets, the Karate version is so just like. Oh, that's it. I love the A on his shirt. It's like Alvin and the Chipmunks. For any Pokemon fans out there, Game Freak will deny it, but you can just tell that Salamence is based off of Devilman, straight up.
I've never noticed that. I didn't either. Now that you say it.
Before we get into after Devilman, let's talk quickly about all the other works in the Devilman series. There's a lot more than just this, lots of one-offs and stories written and illustrated by other artists, but these are like the main ones. These are the ones that Go Nagai has like a big hand in. In 1979, which is quite a long time after Devilman ended, we got Shin Devilman, which was both a novel series and a manga, both written by Go Nagai's brother, Yasutaka Nagai, and Go Nagai did the art for the manga. Shin Devilman is about Akira and Ryo go back in time and fight demons in time periods. They meet Joan of Arc, Marie Antoinette,
So is that like,
Adolf Hitler.
does that take place after the original Devilman Destroy stuff? Or?
They explain it takes place. Most of it takes place right before Zenon comes down and declares war on the humans. But the last bit of Shin Devilman, the last like 5 pages or whatever of it, take place after Miki gets killed. Spoiler alert. Because Akira's walking with a suitcase and her head's in the suitcase, and it's like 7 all over again.
What's the box?
For some reason, I did not expect this. The new current release of the Devilman manga actually has Shin Devilman included in it. So the first 2 chapters are in this book, which I thought was really surprising. So when this panel's over, you can go up and see Adolf Hitler and Devilman for yourself. He's in there. In 1997, Go Nagai had the brilliant idea of what if Devilman was girl? And we get Devilman Lady. Despite being like the dumbest, most like easy pandering idea ever, Devilman Lady is actually probably the best Devilman spin-off work. Like of them all, it's crazy. Your main character is June Fudo, who gets possessed by not Amon.
Does she have sideburns?
She kind of has sideburns, like a little bit. She's like a former Olympic athlete, so she's got like the muscle. She's like a little butch, so like it's pretty good. But compared like to the original Devilman Lady is a lot longer, and a lot of people like say that June is actually much more fleshed out character than Akira. She has a lot of doubts. She goes back and forth a lot, like between her stance on demons and humans. Like some point she accepts that she is a demon, and when she sees like people shooting and killing demons, she's very much like, they're killing my kind. Like, what do I do? And it's a very fantastical ending. Akira actually is in Devilman Lady. Like, Devilman shows up. It's basically considered the sequel to Devilman in a way. Later, in 1999, we got Amon, the Dark Side of Devilman, which is a retelling of the last few chapters of Devilman, basically right after Miki gets killed. Instead of just going to fight Satan, Akira basically gets like mind broken after seeing Miki dies, and Amon takes that opportunity to reclaim control of like his body and his power. So it's a lot of Amon running amok, fighting people. The middle part is a lot of history of the demons, all like backstory for Amon, Satan, Silene, and the fantastical ending of Devilman fighting Amon for control of his body again. All the way in 2007, we got Demon Knight, which is a prequel to Devilman about Amon, where you find out that the people who would become demons were actually a pretty honorable medieval society. It was kind of like He-Man. There's like, I mean, no, dudes, there's like a bear man, it's like a bugbear from Dungeons and Dragons. And then the demons come down and they're invasive and they start merging with people, they start fusing with people true to the canon, and you find out basically how Silene, Amon, Satan, and everyone like, all became demons. In 2012, we got Devilman Grimoire, which is an alternate telling of the entire Devilman story. In this one, Miki is straight up a witch. She is the one who tries to summon a demon on the rooftop of her school. So Akira still gets possessed by Amon, blah blah blah. Miki has a younger sister now who gets possessed by Silene. The Devilman Grimoire manga is actually currently being published and released over here in the US. And last, in 2014, we have Devilman Saga, which Go Nagai is calling the last part of the Devilman story. Like the Devilman trilogy is like Star Wars now. Devilman Saga takes place way in the future with cybernetic devil armor. It's still going on, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it. But we'll just have to hope and see that it ends on a high note. So after...
Is he writing and drawing all of it?
Yeah, Devilman Saga is being written and drawn by Go Nagai. The only one of these, Amon and Devilman Grimoire, are not drawn by Go Nagai. He does the story. It's all in it from his head, but he has someone else doing the illustration, which I said on the slide. Amon is illustrated by Yuki Nutani, and Devilman Grimoire is illustrated by Rui Takato.
It's just a bit hard to read.
So after Devilman's success, see, 16 plus, even they know it. Yeah, maybe they don't. At least JoJo still does that. Alright. There we go. So next, he goes from Young Brother Go to Big Papa Go and gets his big break in popularity. Rapid fire, all these series came out really close proximity to each other. Lots of classic characters coming out one after the other. Like, this was his renaissance period. In 1972, we got Mazinger Z. Woo! My boys, right here, my baby boys. It's actually funny because Go Nagai has admitted in interviews that he is really shocked how popular Mazinger Z became. And like that's like one of the big things to remember for, because he's like, I just made Mazinger Z to blow off steam while I was writing Devilman. Like, I was so stressed writing, I just want to make a big dumb robot manga. Mazinger Z is a really big deal because it was one of the first major super robot manga and one of the first series where the pilot was inside the robot in the cockpit. Before then, you had stuff like Tetsujin 28 or Gigantor over here, where the robot was piloted by a literal RC remote control. It's like a Hot Wheels car. Originally, Go Nagai wanted Koji to get into Mazinger Z on a motorcycle, but this was when Kamen Rider was getting really popular, so he's like, I don't want to step on any toes. So instead, he went with the Pilder, he went with the hovercraft. Eventually, the motorcycle dream would become real with Energy Z in future adaptations. 1973, we get Violence Jack in the lower right corner. Violence Jack is the thing that I can't really show you any of here because it's panel 16 plus. Violence Jack is definitely one of Nagai's most infamous works. It takes place in a mostly apocalyptic wasteland where there's such a huge earthquake that, hold on one second, I see it, that the whole Kanto region is just broken off from Japan and abandoned. It's like Escape from New York, but Snake Plissken is a big buff dude who just kills people. And so you follow Jack, who wanders the violent apocalyptic wasteland and coincidentally helps out people in need. He's not helpful purposefully.
It's like if Fist of the North Star was a torture porn.
Basically, like straight up.
Chaotic neutral now.
Yeah, Jack is very much chaotic neutral. At the end of Violence Jack, it's basically revealed that the setting for Violence Jack is the ending of Devilman. Satan's post-apocalyptic world is the setting for Violence Jack, and Jack himself is Akira Fudo in like a new body. Ryo gets a new body, Miki gets a new body. Miki's head is on a dog now. Don't worry, she gets her face back. In future Violence Jack works, like Silene comes back reincarnated. Zenon becomes a castle for some reason. G-Men is back. Lots of the later versions of Violence Jack just go all in on the Devilman connections. He literally transforms into Devilman at one point.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. 1973, we get in the top right corner Dorodon Enmakun, which the premise for that I could only imagine is, what if Gegege no Kitaro was an asshole? So, Enmakun follows Enma, who is the nephew of the king of the underworld, Lord Enma, and his assistants, the Yuki Onna, Princess Yukiko, who is probably in more panels not wearing clothes than she is, in typical Go Nagai fashion. A Kappa named Kappaeru, and his witch hat named Chappeuji. And they go around the human world. So they're supposed to bring in demons back to hell, like to be arrested, but he just kills them. And so we talked about sideburns for Go Nagai characters. Enmakun breaks the mold. He's got huge eyebrows. His eyebrows are antennae that find yokai. Wow. After the initial very, lewd, typical Go Nagai run of Enmakun, pretty much every other publication of Enmakun afterwards is geared towards children. He actually just went and became a big children's character. After the initial run, Like, the more adult-oriented side of Enmakun didn't come back that often, but he still has his moments. 1973, we finally get Cutie Honey.
Yes.
Cutie Honey is also known as being a pioneer of the magical girl genre and one of the first shonen manga to have a female protagonist. In later publications, Cutie Honey would kind of be more like fluid with genres. A lot of Cutie Honey adaptations are just straight up shoujo, mostly writing off like the Sailor Moon hype, even though Cutie Honey kind of helped inspire Sailor Moon to begin with. So, Cutie Honey, as time went on, became sort of just as much like actually for women as it was for men back in the day. Some other big works from old Papa Go that I don't have quite as much time to talk about in this panel. 1974, we get Getter Robo, and before anyone raises their hand, it's not all him. So the thing about Getter Robo is that one of Go Nagai's best assistants and his best friend, Ken Ishikawa, Papa Go's like, all right, I got this really great idea for another mecha manga. This time, it's 3 planes, and they turn into a robot. He's like, I love you, man. And then they made Getter Robo. Go Nagai is really only credited for the original story for Getter Robo, the concept. Getter Robo itself is by Go Nagai. The main story and all the art for Getter Robo is done by Ken Ishikawa. Getter Robo is Ken Ishikawa's baby before his very tragic passing in 2006. 1974, we have Ketko Kamen in the lower right. Ketko Kamen was made to be a direct parody of an old TV tokusatsu live-action show called Gekko Kamen, who was the first live-action TV superhero, predating Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. Gekko Kamen is about a all-girls school that is harassed by an evil organization of perverts, and their only hero is a mysterious woman who parades around in literally only a mask and boots and nunchucks. She fights by catching...
And gloves.
And she has gloves. She fights by catching villains off guard. She has the pubic hair jump, where she jumps and spreads her legs open, and the villain's like, oh! And then she just beats them up.
He is the villain.
It's very classy.
It's hilarious. Only in Japan.
Yeah, Gekko Kamen is completely bonkers and off the wall. It's meant to be like 100% parody. Like, he's just going all in for fun. 1975, we got a manga called Shuten Doji, which she's for more than Fate Go now, fans. So Shuten Doji is a manga about a kid named Shutendo Jiro, who is adopted to a family after, like, he's given to a foster family by an Oni, who says, I'll be back in 15 years. It's not cryptic at all. Eventually, it goes from being a regular supernatural battle manga to going into space for Jiro to kind of accept that he is the reincarnation of the legendary Oni Shuten Doji. 1975, we have Steel Jeeg in the upper right. Another mecha anime. This time the gimmick is that he's magnetic, and all of his parts connect with magnet force, and the main character literally transforms into the head somehow.
Don't forget, he hugs you to death.
He does hug you to death.
Suplexes you a lot.
He's like a bionicle.
Shut up.
In 1978, we got Black Lion in the bottom middle. The interesting thing about Black Lion is that, remember that test manga that Go Nagai had to make in order to become assistant for Ishinomori? That manga would later go on to become Black Lion. So a lot of people like to say that Black Lion was his actual first published work, but not technically. Then finally in 1979, in the top middle, we got a manga called Susanoo, which despite looking like Akira's in Hajime no Ippo, or like going to Megalobox. This is actually another supernatural powers like battle series. This series it's a little bit of a sleeper hit. Like, he won the Kodansha Manga Award for Shonen Manga with Susanoo. Like, this was pretty big when it came out, and it has a pretty decent following. It got a novel series and a video game, of all things, but no anime. There has still never been a Susanoo anime. here we go. No! Go back. It's the video. There we go. I think that pool outside, like in Washington D.C., has Mazinger Z in it. The reflecting pool has Mazinger in it.
空にそびえる黒金の城スーパーロボットマジンガー Z 無敵の力は僕らのために正義の心をパイルダウン飛ばせ鉄拳ロケットパンチ今だ出すんだブレストファイヤーマジンコマジンコマジンガー Z
Something I've been forgetting to mention for a lot of Go Nagai's works is that he's been very popular. A lot of his works gained popularity in Europe. Not so much over here for a while, but in Europe, a lot of his works became popular, especially Mazinger Z. There's a statue of Mazinger Z in Spain. Yes.
Also Latin America.
Wait, where
Say that again?
is it in
Latin
Spain?
America. Latin America apparently.
Oh yeah, a lot of these are popular in Latin America. It wasn't G that got popular in Latin America. I think like Govarian got really popular over there.
Mazinger Z.
Yeah, Mazinger Z was popular over there. Mazinger Z came out over here in the US as Transer Z for a while.
I think the Mazinger Z maybe is over tickets in the box office in Mexico than it did in Canada.
Oh yeah, I can absolutely believe that. Yes.
Do you know where it is in Spain by chance?
Ooh, that I do not know. A quick Google search will definitely tell you where it is.
Okay, because I'm going there this summer. Like I'm literally going there a week after Momocon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I want to see this shit. I want to know.
They recently actually touched it up. Like they redid the paint on it and everything. Like they
Okay.
care about that statue.
Okay, if I end up seeing it, I will find a way to send that statue to you and just be like, look.
I'll give you my email at the end of this panel. Please send that to me.
It is in Cabra del Camp.
Okay, I'll look. I'll see where we're going. And we're going to 6 different places. Like we stay in one place for a few days, but I don't know where we're going because I'm not that organized with my life. So
It's open 24 hours,
I'm
is what
going.
Google Events says.
I'm going.
So Mazinger Z actually, despite probably being overall less influential than Devilman, arguably, Mazinger Z has so much lore. It's it makes your head spin, all the lore in Mazinger Z. Sequels and spin-offs. 1974, we got Great Mazinger, this little boy right here. A trend in a lot of Go Nagai mecha works is, all right, here's the sequel. It's the robot, but bigger and better and a little different. In 1975, we got UFO Robo Grendizer. This is all going mostly from top to bottom on each side. So Great Mazinger is top left, Grendizer is the middle left, and the bottom left we had God Mazinger in 1984, and with the original novels for it coming out 2 months earlier. Then we got a manga for Mazinger made specifically for the US in the bottom right, called Mazinger US version.
Is there any difference?
It's a unique story. It's not just it's not just the Japanese manga. It's actually a whole new storyline for Mazinger Z, done and written and drawn by Go Nagai. It's very similar to Gulliver's Travels,
Pretty much.
of all things. It's pretty odd. It's a wonder why Mazinger Z wasn't that popular over here for a while. In the top right, we have Z Mazinger. That came out in September 1998. Z Mazinger is where a lot of current Mazinger lore kind of comes from now. Eventually, Mazinger decides to go, what if Mazinger was based on Zeus and the Greek gods? What if all like the villains, the Underground Empire, were all Greek? So we get all that from Z Mazinger. And in the top middle, we had Mazin Saga, which a lot of people actually confuse Mazinger US for Mazin Saga because they look pretty similar, and both of them look pretty similar to Mazin Kaiser, which we'll get into Mazin Kaiser later. Quick run through of Getter Robo, because like I said, this is Ken Nishikawa's baby, not really Go Nagai's anymore. The main Getter Robo series, after Getter Robo G in 75, Getter Robo Go all the way in 1991, huge hit. Getter Robo Go is kind of considered Ishikawa's like magnum opus. Shin Getter Robo manga in 1996, and then Getter Robo Arc manga in 2002 before it got canceled. Alright, now we're finally going to get into the anime for Go Nagai series. This is just some. There's lots of OVAs made for various one-off Go Nagai manga. I'm just mainly keeping in like the most relevant, most popular, most good ones. So I'm sorry for any fans of Iron Virgin June who are mad that the OVA isn't on here. In 1987, we got one of the first like really big popular Go Nagai OVAs, which was Devilman The Birth, which everyone knows the dub for that. It's my good friend Rio.
It's gonna take a swing at the motherfucker.
Why God? And then 3 years later, in 1990, we got Devilman the Demon Bird, or Beautiful Silene in Japan. The Devilman OVAs are a really good adaptation. They're really faithful to the manga. It's just they don't go very far. They stop at Silene. There's like a lot left. 1986, actually 1 year before Devilman the Birth, we got the first Violence Jack OVA, which was the Harlem Bomber arc. Then in 88, we got the Evil Town arc, and in 1990, we got the Something Wins arc. So 3 separate Violence Jack OVAs released 2 years apart. The art style is noticeably improved in each one. 1994, we got New Cutie Honey, which takes place 10 years after the original Cutie Honey manga. It was originally supposed to be 12 episodes. It ended up only being 8. So it ends kind of unfinished. New Cutie Honey got a Western release on DVD a while back. So that was a lot of people's first exposure to Cutie Honey over here. 1998, we get part of the Big Getter revival with Getter Robo Armageddon, which is the first time Shin Getter Robo gets animated. Huge success, helped really kickstart the new Getter Robo lore. In 2001, we get Mazin Kaiser, which is about, once again, Mazinger, but bigger and a little different. Mazin Kaiser was originally made from the Super Robot Wars games, because the plot line for why Mazin Kaiser comes out is Koji is mad because Mazinger is too small compared to all the other big robots now. So Ryoma from Getter Robo says, alright, let's just blast Mazinger with some Getter rays to make it evolve, and that's how you get Mazin Kaiser. He's just big Mazinger.
Got a sweet opening too.
That's such a good song. Oh, one last opening. Come on.
This is Cootie Honey.
Yeah, one more Cutie Honey.
Oh hell yeah, the one with what's your name?
16 plus, kids, it's still fine. Alright, close the door. I said close the door! So some more OVAs. In 2000, we got the Amon OVA, which really only covers a very small part of the Amon manga, and really revels in the hyper-violence of Devilman. In 1989, we got a Shuten Doji OVA, which is 4 episodes, and actually a really good adaptation of the original manga. I would say the Shuten Doji OVA is definitely a sleeper hit for Go Nagai anime. 2004, we got what you just saw, Re Cutie Honey, which was made to tie into the live-action Cutie Honey movie, directed by Evangelion fame Hideaki Anno. A lot of people think that Anno did all 3 episodes of these Cutie Honey OVAs. He actually did the very last one. In fact, the first episode of Re Cutie Honey was directed by Hiroyuki Imaishi, who you may not know him by name, but you do know Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill, and Die Buster.
Absolutely.
And you can definitely see like framework for Kill la Kill in that first episode of Cutie Honey. Like he's definitely out like in full force here. In 2006, we got Demon Prince Enma, which is a basically sequel to Dororon Enma-kun, where everyone is a lot older now, and this series takes a much more serious, as opposed to like, there's really little comedy in Demon Prince Enma, and it goes for more of a suspense horror vibe. Yes?
Is it still a kids show?
Demon Prince Enma is not for kids. Absolutely not for kids.
What's anime? Not kids stuff.
In 2004, we got New Getter Robo, which kind of was just a big mishmash burger patty of all like Getter Robo lore shoved into 13 pretty confusing episodes. What is this last one? Oh, I know what it is now. And it wouldn't be Go Nagai without Jam Project. Why is that door not shut? The silhouetted figure was from Dororon Enma-kun, a gender swap version of Enma-kun, which is not as good for Enma-kun as Devilman Lady was for Devilman.
Oh, I remember this.
Alright, so last we have some TV anime. Oh, one OVA I forgot to mention was up here, Shin Getter Robo versus Neo Getter Robo. It's kind of like a re-adaptation of Getter Robo Go. But for TV anime, 2002, we got the Mao Dante anime, like I mentioned before. 1998, Devilman Lady got a TV anime of its own. 2011, we got what you just saw. It was Dororon Enma-kun Mera Mera, which is a pretty faithful adaptation of the original manga, except the human POV character, like your self-insert, is a girl instead of a boy. In 2009, we got Shin Mazinger Shogeki, or True Mazinger Impact, a retelling of the original Mazinger Z story, mixing in a lot of the lore from more recent Mazinger Z works, and including a lot of characters from other works such as Abashiri Family, Violence Jack. 97, Cutie Honey F comes out, which Cutie Honey F came out the week after Sailor Moon ended, in the same time slot. So you can kind of guess what show it's going to be like. It takes a lot of cues from Sailor Moon, right down to a mysterious masked man who helps Honey whenever she's in a pinch.
Yeah, help.
It's really hard to find subs for Cutie Honey F, but it was really popular when it came out, and that was like the big push for Cutie Honey to become more shoujo oriented. And 2018, we got our currently airing Go Nagai anime Cutie Honey Universe, which is also being a very close adaptation, mostly close adaptation to the original manga with some new twists thrown in. No, I am not putting Devilman Crybaby up here because I know y'all have seen it. It's also a net anime, it's not TV. One anime I did forget to put up here is Kotetsu Shin Jig, which was a sequel to Steel Jig. Good old classic hot-blooded mecha action. Yes, sir.
Italians actually made a movie of that, 2015, a live action.
That's right. In addition to the live-action Cutie Honey movie, there was a Cutie Honey the Live TV series, which was very wacky. And then there was a second Cutie Honey live-action movie called Cutie Honey Tears that came out. There was a live-action Devilman movie. We don't talk about it. It's really bad.
Let's all watch it.
And we should all watch it.
So bad it actually got the Japanese Razzie.
That's true. It came out like it has. You can find the DVD over here. It's like insane. And then, of course, we also got Mazinger Z Infinity. That was in U.S. theaters for a limited time this year. That is the last slide for our panel. Before we go, I just want to talk about where you can acquire Go Nagai properties here in the U.S. legally. I'm not going to point you in any piracy directions. You can do a Google search. Someone will tell you. 2 words. Discotheque Media. They are your best friend for getting Go Nagai anime.
3 words.
Discotheque's 1 word. Thank you. This Cutie Honey DVD, this Get a Robo Blu-ray, both of them are Discotheque. They have Violence Jack, they have Mazinger Z, they have True Mazinger, they have Get a Robo Armageddon, lots of stuff. They're your go-to source for getting Go Nagai anime nowadays.
I think they're announcing new properties that they're releasing this weekend.
Probably, I believe it. One TV anime I forgot to mention, Dino Mech Gai King. Go Nagai made the original idea for Gai King and he was robbed. Toei literally stole the idea from him because they didn't want to pay copyrights. So he had a 10-year legal battle with them.
Did he win?
I think he did.
Yay.
Who are these fellas again? 7 Seas. 7 Seas Publishing is doing classic collections for Devilman. This bad boy came out on Tuesday. You can go pick them up. The Cutie Honey manga is getting a release in June. Second volume of this comes out in October. So that's all good stuff. Even non-Go Nagai stuff like Leiji Matsumoto stuff, like Captain Harlock and Battleship Yamato are getting these nice releases. Some other groups are releasing Devilman Grimoire is coming out over here. Devilman vs. Hades, which I didn't talk about because Go Nagai has like no involvement in that.
It is fun though.
It is very fun.
Does that have a new translation?
Some of your classic translations are still in here. It is still laced with drugs.
Thank God.
But this time he says, my father is dead, instead of my father died. So
My father died.
things are a little bit different in this translation, but they know what y'all like, and they want to keep it all in there. That about wraps it up for our panel. Yes. This is one I didn't quite talk about. This is Shin Mazinger Zero. This is a manga adaptation of the Shin Mazinger, of the True Mazinger Impact anime. Go Nagai also has no involvement in the story or the art for this. I just brought it because it's Mazinger and it's a cool display piece. This has weird stuff like Minerva X is a human and a main character in this. And yeah, Sayaka pilots the Aphrodite Ace in a weird bondage suit. It's weird stuff, but it's actually, I assure you, it's really good. It's just not a Go Nagai original creation, which is why I did not talk too much about it. So that does it for this panel. If you enjoyed this panel, please come give me some feedback outside the door. If you have any questions that I wasn't able to answer for you, ask them outside the door. If you want to see the real 18 plus run of this panel, you can come catch me, hopefully. I haven't been approved yet. You can come hopefully catch me at Anime Weekend Atlanta this year at the end of September, where I will have the whole uncut panel ready for you. They don't give no craps. No 16 plus over there. All right. Thank you all for coming. And Ozzy, go!